We're live? Are we live? Hello, everyone. Hi. Welcome to day 4 of Stream Queens Con 2 in...
Okay.
Marvelous. No, you're fine. I love the effects, to be honest. I do. In moderation, for the most part, though. But I do love them. But welcome, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Kiyoshi Yorha. I'm a pansexual drag investigator here on Twitch. And you are now listening and witnessing Sexual Diversity 2. And yeah,
The remix.
The remix. Well, yes, and we have merch in the back. Actually, speaking of merch, we do have merch that is out now. If you type in
For
exclamation point
sale.
merch, yeah, if you like exclamation point merch in chat, you can buy String Queens Con 1 and 2 t-shirts and stickers, and all profits go to Ambar. What's that? Woo! Anyways, yes, my name is Kiyoshi Yorha, pansexual drag investigator here on Twitch, and I'm gonna go ahead and introduce the panel. This panel is all about sexual diversity and the because much like everything that is queer, sexual identity is a spectrum. And we're gonna touch on whatever we can. Last year, I touched on a few things. I had some panelists there for some sexual identities that were represented, and this year I focused on my team. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and go down the list of the panel, and please go ahead and introduce yourself, what you identify with, and your pronouns. Let's start with Bats. Please.
Hi, I'm Bats Boy. I'm an ace, non-binary drag streamer. My pronouns are they, she, and I like to think I'm the wholesome troll of Team Stream Queens.
You sure fucking are.
Yeah.
Aw.
Absolutely. Chalora.
Wah! I'm Shlora. I'm a trans drag artist from Canada. And I'm straight. Whoops.
Ooh. Listen, it's sexual diversity. We have to have everyone into the panel, and I'm glad to have you here. Nikki Stones. Actually, you know what? We didn't. Nikki Stones wasn't able to come over. So Deer stepped in. So thank you so much, Deer, for hopping in. Truly.
Hi, my name is Dear. Let's play with you, fear, but joke's on you. It's me, Nikki. Le gasp. Le gasp. 안녕하세요, 여러분. 저희
I'm
Nikki입니다. Hi, friends. My name is Nikki Stones, and I'm Dublin's drag K-pop idol, proud member Team Stream Queens, your local non-binary crush, autistic mixed race drag legend, and I identify as Demi/Grey Ace. And my pronouns in drag, she, they, out of drag, they, them. So, yay. That's me.
Yay! Thank you so much, and thank you as well, Dear, for stepping aside and holding that seat down for Nikki.
Wonder that.
Prince Harming.
Hi, I'm Prince Harming. I'm a drag king here on Twitch.tv. I am a non-binary bisexual here. And yeah, that's it.
Woo! Well, thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate that. And let's get into it. So one thing I did want to touch on is I didn't actually get to add it into the topics. I kind of thought of it before we started the panel. And it is labels. Labels, identities, and what that means. Because I think, for the most part, for what I believe, labels and identities are definitely just words that help other people, because we already know who we are. And labels, again, just help other people know who we are quickly with just a single word. but other people might have differing opinions on that. So, my question is, how do you feel about labels, and are they necessary? So, I'm gonna leave that open to anyone. Chalora, go ahead.
I say it all the time, but labels are for other people, in my opinion. This could be, it says it's a can of orange juice, but I don't know how the orange juice feels. It's just letting me know that it's a can of orange juice. It could be water inside, it could be black tar, I don't know. It could be whatever it wants to be, or however it identifies, although it's not sentient that I know of.
Right.
But labels are for other people. They're for other people to understand our background and where we're coming from, how we feel, and how we identify.
Mhm.
I think that they are important in today's world just because everybody is sort of like, people like to assume a lot of things. We can't just, unfortunately, just be people. People need to know everybody else's business all the time, and it's really irritating. So it's a way for us to be like, please respect this, or whatever. And we're just letting each other know in advance so that we don't have anything left to assume.
Yeah. Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's actually a really good analogy. And I don't know if you had that can there or if that was just like
Yeah.
off the top of your head. That was really good.
It's been here since yesterday.
Wow. Okay.
Oh no.
Does anyone else want to elaborate on that or have opinion on that?
I kind of agree with Chalora. I think that labels are definitely something to kind of make other people kind of understand what like who we are, if that makes sense. But like, I know that I'm me no matter what. But a lot of the times, sometimes like I'll have to use a different label to describe how I am or how I identify, because we touched on it a lot in the non-binary panel yesterday, which, by the way, you should go check it out. Every single panel is highlighted. But it's very much, sometimes I just feel like I have to go and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm Ace, when people ask me like how I identify, because like going into being like, every time I say, oh, I'm Demi or I'm Demi/Gray, they're like, what does that mean? And I'm like, oh, it's this. And they're like, what? I'm like, I don't have the energy to talk about this, so I'm just gonna say Ace. Just leave me alone.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing too. Sorry, Harmony. I think
Okay.
the thing with this panel as well is we are not going to be the definition for the identities and labels that we represent today. It is strictly how it's going to be how we feel about those, how we feel, and those are just labels that we have and identities we identify with currently. And it could mean differently to other people.
Actually, I
which-
was sent here as a representative of all bisexuals, so
except
mine's a
for
different
Harming.
situation.
Harming is actually a representative for all bisexuals.
Obviously.
And along with all these questions as well, feel free to go ahead and answer in chat too. We might not be able to respond to it, but please feel free to do that because of that reason as well. But Harming, you're gonna say something about labels.
Yeah, so I do agree, echoing the other points, that I don't think labels are necessarily for yourself. It can be nice to, like, when you come to a realization that, like, you might identify as something else and it fits better and that feels nice. But for me, I never really felt different whenever I changed a label around.
Yeah.
It just sort of, it was just nice that other people kind of treated me a little bit different when they were speaking to me, when they knew. So it's like I mostly knew the response that I got from other people more than me feeling like I feel like a complete person now that I, identify slightly different than I did before.
Yeah.
Like I was already feeling that way long before I swapped labels around.
Yeah. Bats, do you have any thoughts on it?
I also agree labels are mostly for other people, but I feel like they could be a useful tool for ourselves when we're trying to find community,
Mhm.
people that we relate to. So, yeah.
Absolutely that, yeah.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think going off of what Prince Harming was saying too, is I think with people eventually ending up knowing who we are, and then them changing the perspective of us, I think it's been told a lot about even some of the visibility panels. And I think in particular, the non-binary panel, Nem mentioned that they had a friend on Grindr that started using a label on there that isn't theirs, because if they perceive when they're perceived their label, they're not approached to, and the moment they do, it reflects away. I think it's not in here, but I have this question just to go off of that, I guess. Are you assumed a sexual identity just when people just visually look at you? Do they already have a perceived identity for you? And then was that ever switched and their perception of you changed as soon as they found out your identity? And I'll leave that open to the floor.
I'd say for me, I've noticed, I'd say with men, if I'm talking to them and they're friends and they might have other motives, if my sexuality comes up that I'm ace or something, that friendship will disappear. And I'm like, okay, I clearly saw where you were trying to go with this, and now that you know my sexuality and know that it won't lead to that, so I've noticed that, definitely.
Okay.
I will definitely echo Bats' point in the fact that being someone who is AMAB and is active in the gay scene in Dublin, like a lot of the gay scene is very sex oriented, and as someone who is not sex oriented, who like requires like a deep emotional connection before even the possibility of sexual urges come up, it's very like they're like, oh yeah, no, I'm not interested in you because you're not gonna ride me in the bathrooms in 5 minutes. Like that's like there's a very, very instant thing of that. But yeah.
I want to echo this message again. If you're talking with someone, interacting with someone with the intention of sleeping with them or creating a relationship, the other person may or may not be consenting to that. So you need to be aware of like what your intentions are, and like you should just, I don't know, people are just people. You know what I mean? Like if it's a dating app, obviously the intent is different. If I'm just talking to you on a Twitch chat and you're talking to me trying to get in my pants, I'm just hanging out. You know what I mean? Like I'm not consenting to your idea, to your concept of what I am. So you're sexualizing the people you're talking to if you have that intention when we didn't ask for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So not saying it's bad, like awful, like stop doing that. But like, you know what I mean? Like people get really upset when they get turned down or they hear these types of things, and then they disappear completely. And it's like, this was your fault, Diva. Like you came in here with this energy, and you need to
set it up. You
set yourself up because this isn't on me. This is on you, and you brought that energy to yourself. And you know what I mean? Like just get to know people, just hang out with them. It should be platonic from the start. Obviously, like, you know, I have a crush on so-and-so or whatever, I really like them, that's fine. But like, don't put that energy towards someone who may or may not be consenting to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Harming, or Nikki, go ahead. Sorry,
I just wanted to like really just throw in a little one-liner thing here of like, yeah, sex is hot, but consent is hotter.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And respect.
Harming, do you have anything to add for that? To that?
So the original question was if people's perspectives has changed on you once they heard
what
we identify as.
This is like an off the cuff topic that I just thought of as we were conversating. But the question is, do you have a perceived? Do people perceived you as an identity, and then once you give them your actual identity, are their perceptions changed? And
well, I don't really know how people think of me, but all I can really say is like I do get. I don't necessarily think of it as misgendered, but people do assume that just because I have a lot of like traditional masculine signifiers that I am just a cis man, I guess. But that's a different topic.
Right.
But
That's gender.
but that's like the number one thing that will automatically get perceived about me, I guess, because I guess my sexuality doesn't come up as often.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's also another perspective that you have.
Mhm.
But thank you for answering that random question that was not in the topics at all. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And thanks for bringing it up, Harming, because I think that's
You're
also
welcome.
kind of I think that was a good topic to bring up that we didn't mention yet. So now we'll go on to our actual topics. How was your sexual discovery and your journey? So do you remember like your first moments? Have you gone through multiple identities? Are you still going through it? And I'll open the floor for that.
Still going through it with everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, the journey was a weird one, I guess, for me because I kind of took a roundabout way to get to where I am today, where like I started off as like, once I identified as gay and then came back around to realizing I was bisexual later on. Because when I was first, growing up and as a teenager, learning about like other sexual orientations, and the only other one I heard about really was, well, are you gay? Are you straight?
Right.
So I latched onto gay immediately, and I just assumed that that's just what I was, and that everybody also is still just kind of attracted to people of another like sex, right? Everybody just has a little bit of attraction still.
Mhm.
And then I realized later on, like, no, that's not how a lot of people operate. So, like, I learned over time that, I learned what bisexual was, but then I thought it wasn't bisexual because bisexual is like, oh, they just like everyone. They just like all women and all men. And I'm like, and I was like, oh, that's not me. And then I realized later on, like, oh, that's stupid. Of course, people have different preferences, and it doesn't matter even if it's only like a 90-10% split between, or like a 10-30. I don't know how to do math, so I don't know what's left. But, even if it's like a uneven split amongst different like gender identities that you're into, it's still, yeah. So I realized the long way around. So now I identify as bisexual.
Well, I think for me personally, it's been a journey, and it's actually still happening now, and it's annoying because like it's only up until I think I don't ask myself questions a lot about myself, and it wasn't until I started writing up the structure for the panel I was looking through the labels, and I read one of them, and it described how that label was saying how I felt about other people, which is demisexual. Demisexual is a new label, or is a feeling that I've always had, but I never put a label to it, and that just came like roundabout. And again, I think it still goes into the thing where it's labels could mean different things, and I don't know, it just helps. But yeah.
I think it is
Anyone
important to talk about the changing. This is going to be a really quick point, sorry,
Yeah,
but I think it is important to talk about like evolving sexuality over time because, like, I think people feel like they kind of get stuck in a box and they're afraid to like have another coming out or like, explore their sexuality further as to what they're into, and it's just like, don't be afraid. People shouldn't be judged on their sexuality, period. So you shouldn't be afraid to identify as something else later on.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's constantly evolving.
100%.
Next year, I could identify as something else. I don't know.
Well,
But-
this is also like to amplify that like bisexual is not like a transitionary
Mhm.
or like stepping stone or whatever. For me, like my journey I may have identified as bisexual for like a year and then homosexual. At the time, I identified as male, but like that doesn't mean that I didn't. I in my head I was like I like women. You know what I mean? So that wasn't incorrect, and it wasn't a like a gateway piece because there are people who identify as bisexual, and I just feel like in our community we definitely try to erase bisexual for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And so I wanted
There's a
to
whole lot
make
of
sure
like
that was
buy now,
honored.
gay later thing that I always like. That's always the big thing.
Well,
Yeah.
now I'm not gay at
Well-
all, so what happened? But for my journey, to answer the question, I originally identified obviously straight. I thought that I liked women, but I was not educated whatsoever on sexual identity or sexual health, I guess. And I was raised Catholic, so like the idea of liking men didn't really make sense to me. But like not being aroused by women was very confusing. Obviously, like puberty and things is all like a mess. But I was like, well, I have to like women. I want kids. You know what I mean? So in my brain, I was like, I have to. So then the bisexuality came along, and then I was like, no, no women for me. And then obviously, like, I eventually identified as non-binary, and then that was not a transitionary like gateway thing, but and then I identified with the term woman, and I was like, okay, well, trans woman, but I still identify with non-binary still anyway, and I still like men, so straight.
You were a sleeper straight all along.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
snuck in here.
It's definitely quite the journey.
Yeah.
I think it's yeah.
Lot of coming out.
Yeah, and I think
I feel that.
that
I
is
feel
again to echo it is ever evolving, and the more you learn about yourself, the better. And obviously, as queer people, we aren't allowed, or some of us aren't allowed to explore that part of ourselves. So obviously, coming out and being ourselves and learning more about ourselves will eventually, like, find ourselves. Did that make any sense? Anyways,
Yeah.
Words are hard. It's fine.
It words are hard, and it sounds like I'm talking in circles. Anyways, Nikki, Bats.
I mean, do you want to go ahead, Bats? Sorry.
Oh, I don't know. I just.
Go
I
ahead,
guess
Nikki.
I found out what.
Oh.
Oh no, Nikki, go.
Okay.
Nikki,
okay.
go, go,
Bats, you got your whole
Okay,
speech
okay.
ready.
go, go.
Okay, I mean, Kyoshi's like, I'm scared I'm talking in circles. Bitch, my sexual awakening was a journey of circles where I felt like I was going back and around and around and around and around, where I was like, I identified as bi, and then I identified as gay, and then I identified as bi, and then I identified as gay, and then I came out as non-binary, and I was like, oh, I'm gay non-binary. And then I was like, no, this can't be, because like, if I'm non-binary and I'm gay, does that mean I can only like non-binary people? So then it was like, no, I'm not gay non-binary. And then it was the whole thing of like, oh yeah, there's ace all thrown in there too, where consistently I was having all of these sexual experiences, and all of them were seriously disappointing, to the point where I was like actually just not enjoying myself. And like, disappointing is the only word that I could have used for it, because I was expecting all of this thing, like that media was like, oh, sex is supposed to be like this and all this kind of thing, and I was like, none of this is happening. I'm not feeling any of the feelings that I'm supposed to feel. And then I was talking to people, and I was like, I think I might be ace, and immediately all I was told was, disappointment's not a sexual orientation. You're not ace. You just haven't had the right experiences yet. And I'm like, I've had a few like, not to out myself, but like, I have gone through that phase of like having loads and loads of experiences, and I just never had good ones. I never enjoyed it. I never came out of it in terms of like, this feels right. I was just like, bleh, And I think the big thing that definitely pushed me back from identifying as ace for so long was consistently being told like, disappointment's not a sexual orientation. And it wasn't until like Twitch, and specifically, I know it's very early in the panel to give like shout outs to people, but I want to give a shout out to Sir Brandude, who helped me really realize like the ace spectrum, and like made me feel really, really comfortable in my sexuality. So huge shout out to him for that. And it wasn't until that point where I went back to the same people that were like, oh no, it's just disappointment. And I was like, no, it's not just disappointment. Sit down, shut up. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about because it's my experience, it's not yours. I was really angry about it. But the moment I did that, it was like, wow, this feels good. This feels right. I'm like, I feel comfortable because now I've actually said my piece and I've like been listened to. Granted, it had to become that I had to become that angry non-binary person to be listened to, which is another stereotype that like we all know are stereotypes. But the fact that I actually felt like I was being listened to for once was really good. So that's kind of my journey.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Bats.
I found out about Ace about like 9 years ago. Because I was really confused. Like Nikki said, I've had experiences, and none of them. It was all like that disappointment or not, like almost feeling trauma after, because it wasn't necessarily something I wanted to do, but just society says, well, this is part of relationships. So then I found out what ace was, and there was confusion between aromantic and asexual. So then I was like, oh, well, I don't get feelings for people. And I think through that confusion, I've hurt other people and myself along the way in finding my sexual identity. But then I realized, oh, you can have feelings for people and there doesn't need to be sex involved. Like, there's not that attraction. So then I was like, well, damn, like, maybe I broke up with people because I didn't want to have sex with them. And I was like, well, that obviously means I don't have feelings for you anymore. And maybe I did have feelings for them, but I just didn't understand that. So, yeah, it's definitely been a journey.
Yeah. And
Can I ask a question actually there?
Mhm.
Batsy, I know, like, please forgive me if I'm completely overstepping here,
oh no,
but
go
did
ahead.
you find that sometimes during those experiences, the people that you did have feelings for after those experiences, you're like, oh no, I don't have feelings for you anymore? Did you experience that as well? A little bit?
You mean like after being intimate with them, you're like, oh, I don't have feelings for you anymore? Yeah, I've
Yeah.
experienced that too, definitely. Yeah.
Because I like you're the first person that I've ever asked about that, and it's like, oh my god, I'm not crazy.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's really important to also remember that sexuality and there is a difference between sexuality and romance, and they are two separate things. And you can, again, doing this panel, I found a whole bunch of other words, and I was like, wow, oh yeah, right, I forgot. I can still feel something for somebody, but also like not have to want like any sexual attraction towards them or feelings or anything like that, and vice versa too. Like I might be sexually attracted to someone and I might not have any I might feel that I don't want a relationship. It just depends on the person, of course. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for sharing. I really appreciate that. Learning more about my siblings. And I don't know why I've got this accent on, so help me, please.
Boy.
So we're going to move on to our next topic. How gender identity might influence or change sexuality and how it works. Oh,
I don't know how it works.
Boom! I got this. It's that whole thing as well of we're circling it back to the idea of labels are for other people, not necessarily for us, because we know ourselves. It's that whole thing of, like, during my journey, I mentioned that I was like, when it came out as non-binary, I was like, I'm gay non-binary. Wait, no, I can't be gay because that only means I like the same gender as me. And at the end of the day, like, I'm attracted to people that I find attractive, and I don't want to put a label on it anymore. So for ages, yeah, my gender identity and discovering my gender identity did kind of push me into that box of being like, okay, so you can't call yourself gay. And it's like, no, I'll call myself gay and non-binary. I will call myself gay and non-binary. Technically, if we want to get really deep down into things, I'm like bisexual and non-binary, but like that label doesn't fit me. I'm gay. I'm a gay non-binary person. Like, yeah. Sorry, that was just
No, that's great. Thank you so much.
brain fart. My brain just went ah.
No, that's great. You answered the question, and that's really we did go. We've basically circled back around to this, but it is important. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback off of what Nikki said, it's like similar, but like labels can tell us like how I identify, like, you know what I mean? Like I can tell you that I'm straight, and that helps you identify myself as well. So if I'm talking to someone who identifies as a man, that's telling you, like a straight man anyway, that tells you that I'm a woman. You know what I mean? And that I identify as a woman. Whether, you know, I got different parts or something, like that's a whole other story. But for me, like, gender does not equal genitals. And I know that we discussed this on the trans panel, but like some people have genital preference, and that's one thing. But like, yeah, I think that for me, like, it's been kind of complicated because like I identify as a gay man and then a non-binary gay person. And now identifying as a woman, I'm attracted to men. So it's difficult for me to be like, you know, when I was gay, I was like, I can't like straight guys. You know what I mean? I got to cut them out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because if you do like them, it just causes problems, right? And that's been a stigma I think a lot of gay men deal with, is like, we can't like them. And then going from that and then to this, being a trans woman, it's like, okay, well, now I have to like straight cis men again, or even trans man too. So like, where am I? It's like this weird reverse psychology, and then you got to reverse that reverse psychology all over again. And it's very complicated because like if I dated a gay man, I feel like they would be like, you know, like not into it. You know what I mean? Because like I'm feminine presenting, I am, you know, everything's feminine, blah, blah, blah. So not that there aren't, you know, cis men who are feminine. I feel like that's a different kind of presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, going on that point you had a little bit ago was like, yeah, genital preference does not equal sexuality. Like, people out here being like, I'm gay because I love dick. And I'm like, well, no. Like, you might have a preference for like dicks, but like men have dicks and men don't have dicks, and there are women who have vaginas and there are women who have dicks. So it's like, that's not necessarily what you're saying. So yeah, the parts don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my own gender my gender sexuality journey was interesting because yeah, I think similar to like what Nikki was talking about, it's like, well, now I identify as non-binary, like what does that mean about my sexuality? And it's like, well, and if you're calling yourself a bisexual, it's like, well, doesn't that mean you're into two things? And I'm like, Beth, I don't fucking know. I'm just using
Bye,
terms
Beth.
that people talk about. Like, I don't.
Hi, Miranda.
I'm just like, I'm not here to argue the semantics over it. If I say bisexual, people understand what that means. And also, like, I'm not really into, it's like, once again, these are labels for other people, because when I really talk about my own preferences, it's like, I've never heard a term for it. And once again, even if I learned a term for it, that'd be a new term to me, which means the majority of people still wouldn't understand what it meant anyways. So I'm going for the most simplest answer. And it's like, you know, I'm mostly interested in masculinity. Masculinity exists in men, women, non-binary people. Like, it exists everywhere.
Mhm.
But like, there's not really well-known terms for these types of things. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting thing when you're trying to fit those two parts together. You're trying to fit gender expression and like sexuality.
Yeah.
It gets weird.
I had difficulty like figuring out that label. Like, thankfully I'm married, so I don't have to worry about dating right now. But I am a worrywart, so I'm like, is he gonna come home? Is he gonna? The world's dangerous out there. I don't know. America's scary. So I'm like, one day I could end up being single, and it's confusing and complicated, and I want to know what I'm doing and what's going on. So yeah.
Yeah. Bats, do you have anything to add?
I think my ace journey's been about like 9 years, and I'd say my non-binary journey has only been about like 3. So I think definitely throwing non-binary into the mix really confused me on what my sexuality label was. And labels are so ingrained in society. I was like, okay, now I have to find this label. And I was like, so I'm non-binary, but so if I'm attracted to men, but I'm not a woman, am I not straight anymore? Or if I'm attracted to another non-binary person, am I gay? I was like, I couldn't find my label, and nobody could really give me an answer on what my label should be. And then somebody said to me not too long ago, exactly like, labels just are for other people and you don't need to have a label. And that was like, I was like, whoa, like, so yeah, I don't really have a label other than ace for my sexuality. And that was pretty freeing. But yeah, there's still a lot of that imposter syndrome, like, I need a label and this label doesn't fit me because I don't fit this box. And it's just been a lot of that, but not having a label's cool too.
Yeah, and I think, again, I think if you're going to take anything out of this, labels are just that, and what your feelings and thoughts are more what's important. And if you're going to get anything out of this this panel, I'm hoping it's that.
If you're gonna get anything out of this panel, it's we're just as confused as y'all are. Stop asking for answers.
Honestly.
Yeah.
It's like this is visual representation of no, it does not really get better. We just kind of keep going.
God.
Yeah.
I just feel like sorry.
Oh no, I think that's
we have this.
I think that's what's great, is that we're always discovering. Sorry, go ahead. That's all I want to say.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that, like, if anything, like, there's definitely like a societal pressure to stick to the norm of like this and that, and it go like this, and puzzle piece go like this,
Yeah.
you know. And I feel like, I don't know, if you like somebody, or if you think they're hot and you're kind of confused, it's like, just be attracted to people. Like, you think that's good, great. If you think that's good, great. Like, what does it matter what pieces they have? Or, I mean, unless that's like really strongly an issue for you, but like, give it a chance, give it a shot, try it out. You know what I mean? Like, life's pretty short. Just have fun with it and go nuts.
Be more like Elvira. Elvira's thought somebody was very attractive, very hot, pursued them, found out they were somebody that normally she wouldn't think that she was interested in, and just continued with it because she liked it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Boom.
If it works, it works.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, everyone, again, for that topic.
I'm gonna find a way to bring up Elvira in every conversation.
And I'm glad you are. I'm glad you are, because
Oh
it
my
goes
God.
on
Somebody
to our
needs
next
to.
topic. Perfect. What would you actually, yeah, what would you tell young you, I guess, if to like fast track where you are now, or at least help in some way? I'm leaving that open on the floor. Laura?
I mean, this is I guess it's kind of complicated for me, just because like I identified as trans later in life, and I feel like for a lot of trans people, it's like you wanted to transition earlier. So I could have skipped all that malarkey, but in hindsight, knowing how my life progressed and knowing what I know, and having married not as a woman, you know what I mean? I feel like I am on the right track. If that makes sense. It's all fucked up and there's a bunch of garbage in there I don't need, but would I change it? I don't think I would, because I'm really happy where I am, and I think happiness tells you that you're on the right track.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I'm kind of in the same boat, where it's like I've been like I feel like, because when I came out as when I came out as bi, when I was like really young, I was 13. Like I was really young, and I like my first time ever exploring non-binary gender identities was when I was 16, and like keep in mind I'm 22, so like that's a good few years ago for me. And I
You're
think the
what?
main thing, I know, I'm 22. I look about 50.
I gotta go.
But I think the main thing that I'd 100% say to myself is just calm the fuck down. You're a child. Like, you don't need to have your shit together. Like, and plus, having your shit together is overrated, because how boring would it be if you just didn't have anything to discover about yourself? You know? I feel like life is a consistent journey of discovering sexuality, gender, like what you're into, what you're not into. It's a consistent just exploration. And if you know it from day one, it's like, well, you don't have any fun like getting to explore and getting to learn all of these things about yourself. Because at the end of the day, I want to be able to be like 80 years old and still learning new things about myself. You know? So just my number one piece of advice and thing that I'd say back to myself would be, calm the fuck down. You don't need to have your shit together. You're young.
Harming bats.
I mean,
Or-
I'm a lot like Shalora. I was just like, I even though there were shitty things that have happened in my life, like I'm happy where I've ended up. So like, if I were to change something, like if I were to take away one of those bad experiences, I'm not sure if I would have ended up in the same place. So like, I don't know where I would be. So I'm happy where I'm at. So I think, I don't know. I think I've done a decent job.
For the groomers out there, we're not saying that trauma helped us. Not at all.
Not
No,
saying-
we're saying-
not saying
not at all.
I'm
Cut
not
that
saying
shit out.
pursue trauma either. Just
just to clarify. I know
everything
there's a
I've been
groomer
through,
at
I've
home
gone
being like, I did
over.
that. You know what I mean? Like, so
I
no.
see the person that like I see that's the one from school. I'm like, I see you.
But yeah, like everything I've experienced and it's brought me to this point, and you know, I like where I'm at, and I'm doing fine. So
Bats.
I think the same thing. Like, I probably wouldn't be where I am now without those experiences. But if I could cut down those experiences, I might have told my younger self, just to be more educated on the different sexualities and things and genders. Being an ancient haunted doll, I'm a little older, and those things weren't really talked about or even known about back then. So I think just having that conversation back then would have really helped me.
Well, thank you so much, everyone.
you're welcome.
I think that I need to move on because I lost my train of thought, and I'm disassociating multiple times through this panel. And
Is there
we're
something
gonna move
you
on
would
to
tell yourself, Kiyoshi? I think is what you were.
Yeah.
oh right the topic right.
got you.
I
I
would.
love
I think for sure I would tell myself not to focus on labels and actually listen to yourself, because again, as I was constructing this the structure for the panel, I again asked myself like, wait, is this actually who I am? And then it is, but it's a yes but situation. Like, yes, I am.
Yes, but get out of here.
There is more to it, and there's I ask myself these questions, and I think that, and also take time for yourself to ask these questions, because I bombard myself with a lot of things on my plate to distract me from not only my sexual identity but a whole bunch of other things. So take time to set yourself aside and listen to yourself or myself. But yeah, moving on to the next topic. Thank you again, everyone.
Mhm.
Are there any role models you identify that your identity? Oof, I wrote this so badly. Any role models that identify with your
Elvira.
identity? Do you have any?
Oh, I mean, the Elvira thing's kind of more of just a coincidence because that just came out recently, and I had already just started on that, so I was like, oh, this is a nice coincidence at least.
Mhm. They don't have to
I
be
mean-
even like like celebrities even, of course.
Yeah, I was gonna just ask as if like I can't really think of a celebrity, but I'm gonna circle back to Sir Brandude here on Twitch. Like, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been able to continue going on this journey. So he's a huge like ace role model to me.
Yeah. Bats, Chalora.
I don't see a lot of discourse about trans people, like trans women, I guess, becoming and like labeling themselves as straight. If anyone that like I drew from, I guess, would be like ContraPoints, but like I'm pretty sure she identifies as bi or a lesbian, so it doesn't really work out for me. But I do consider it often. So, you know, I try to think about it. I try to think outside the box a little more once in a while.
Yeah, I'd say my ace friends. I can't really think of celebrities, but friends are usually better than most celebrities anyway.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think my friends are my role models.
I think there could also be like cartoons as well. I think there are like I'm not too familiar with it, but Steven Universe has a few sexual identities and even gender identities for the most part as well. So I would imagine shows like that might have something. Is SpongeBob ace, actually?
I stare at SpongeBob being ace
Yeah,
because he's a sponge. He's a sea sponge. He doesn't reproduce.
Yeah. But okay, cute. I want to move on to this next topic. The dating scene. With if you actually have ever extended out your identity fully. How has that been? And if you aren't dating or you're with someone or whatever, what would you think it would be? I suppose. Maybe. That might be problematic. We'll see. Go ahead. Open floor.
Why would that be problematic? I feel like I don't know, like for me, like it hasn't been an issue in my marriage, thankfully, just because I'm bisexual. But I feel like or not because I'm bisexual, because my husband's bisexual. If he wasn't, though, I don't know if things would still be the way they are, because like I want to be me and I want to be independent, and that's really valuable. You know what I mean? I'm not going to value that over a marriage or a relationship. And you should, you know, you're player one in your life, in the story of your life. You're the main character, so like you have to put yourself before things like that. And I would probably have either gotten a divorce or we would have had to figure it out. You know what I mean? But have that communication. Thankfully, it hasn't been a problem. I'm sure even some bisexual people would be like, nah, not for me, which is totally fine. But for the dating scene, like I said earlier, like I do worry about this new kind of thing, because like I gotta worry about chasers who are only interested in me as a fetish item, and that's an issue. And if I've seen it before, where some chaser type people were like, "Well, how do I like let trans girls know that I'm not a chaser?" You're being a chaser. calm down. If you're specifically targeting trans women, take a chill pill. Like, do you like all trans women? Do you like, you know, figure it out? Or sorry, do you like all women? I should say. Then date all of them. You know what I mean? Don't just pigeonhole one type of person, because then you're fetishizing or whatevering them. Then I have to worry about, like, you know, how do I talk to straight guys about me and all my bits and pieces and how I'm all different and stuff. Like, that doesn't sound like fun, knowing straight guys at all. So I don't really know how I would do it, to be honest. I don't. I can only imagine how scary it is for people who aren't already coupled.
Anyone else?
This is gonna sound so horrible, and I know there's gonna be some like absolute Chad or Karen that's gonna be like, "You're being a horrible person," but often don't disclose that I'm ace or gray, or like I don't disclose that I'm on the ace spectrum on like my dating profiles, because a lot of the time it just doesn't even get to the point of even there, because like I disclose that I'm non-binary, and I touched on this yesterday, but it's like, since disclosing that I'm non-binary, it's like, okay, yeah, the like, say I was getting like, this was like the line of attention that I would be getting. Disclosing it that I was non-binary brought it down to here, and it's like, if I was to also add ace onto it, would that mean I'd go down to here? Like, it's a whole thing of, to be fully honest, I'm fucking scared, because I often ask myself of like, if I didn't identify as ace and I didn't identify as non-binary, if I identified as a cis gay man with a normal sex drive, would I be in a relationship right now?
Normal sex drive.
What is a normal sex drive? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, it's just, it's something that I still regularly kind of have to deal with. And like, I remember I went on one date with a guy, and I was like, yeah, I identify as non-binary and I identify as ace, and then like the next day he fully ghosted me. And I was like, oh, okay, was this because of this? And it's just, for me, it feels like sometimes if I disclose it, does it become a whole new factor for someone to just turn around and be like, you're not good enough, you're fucked up, I don't want you. Sorry to bring the mood down.
Oh
No,
no.
You know what?
That's absolutely true.
He was an uncommon. You're a shiny. He didn't understand the value.
That's right. Let people just be people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't actually tried dating since I came out as ace, so I have no idea how I'm gonna navigate that. I haven't tried to pursue anyone. I've had people try to pursue me, and I actually kind of liked being able to be like, I'm ice. Like, no, stop. Like, it just makes they don't keep trying to push, because it's like, this is literally my identity. It's how I am. So I think having that label for them, they're like, okay, well, I'll stop. Because before not having the label, they would keep trying to push you and try and get you to that intimate point, and it's like, no, dude, like, stop. Like,
Yeah.
no. So it's been nice in that sense having that label, but actually wanting to pursue someone romantically, I haven't gone there yet, and I have no idea how that's gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm kind of nervous for that.
Also, like, I don't know, there's like a big stigma that like people have to date. Like,
Yeah.
you can just be yourself and by yourself. Like, what's the big deal?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Harming, do you have anything to add?
Oh, well, I have no interest in entering the dating marketplace again. But my partner's really open and cool with me being ever changing. So that's nice to have that support.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that's really
Similar to Chalora.
yeah. That's really
But I
wonderful.
think what's interesting, like, I don't know about your partner harming, but like for mine, like, I feel like if I had started where I am right now with them, they'd be like, you know,
Mhm.
like maybe like, So I think what's interesting too is that like they've evolved sort of with us on the side.
Same.
In terms of like how they think and they process this information. So listen, date us. We'll educate you. We'll make you better
Date me, I'm
people.
really lonely, please.
You'll
My
evolve.
DMs are open.
You'll evolve with us.
Mhm.
We can change them.
Literally.
Not that.
I didn't think. I thought we had more. I think we're on to memes. I guess.
Of course. Bring on the memes, Kiyoshi. I know you've been looking forward to
Before
it.
we move on to this topic, if there is any burning questions you have, we do have a channel point redemption, which I should have mentioned in the beginning. I think I didn't. Yeah. That you can ask any of my panelists questions about anything we haven't touched on. So feel free to do that, and we can get to it. But as we do this topic, I'm also going to think of other things. Favorite sexual identity memes? Do we have any? Is there any at all?
I love
Uh,
the non-binary memes of people like, I don't know, like non-binary people rename themselves after nouns.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really, really funny. I think my favorite one, it's not necessarily like one to do with just being ace, but it's the heteros or upsetteros.
Mm.
mm,
Chef's kiss.
Oh, I've also seen, I guess, because these are non-binary memes, but they're not necessarily sexual identity memes. But I've seen like this pyramid or whatever of like the like cis men like alpha, beta, sigma, blah blah blah. But like the idea of like gender identities confuses them. Like anyway.
They can restructure their entire thoughts around alpha omega bullshit that doesn't exist. But you tell them non-binary,
They're like, that doesn't exist. What is that? Like, so silly.
that doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
I actually have a really funny one that because I may or may not have just googled ace memes for this, but
I might have
this
to
is obviously stereotyping ace people, because just because I'm ace doesn't mean I won't have sex, and doesn't mean I haven't had sex, and doesn't mean I won't ever have sex.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean I don't enjoy it from like occasionally. It just means but it's like, imagine being stuck in a room surrounded by everyone you've ever had sex with, and it's just that picture of like the meeting room from Club Penguin with the one penguin, and there's no one else. Like, thank you all for coming.
Oh my god. That's pretty good. I didn't bring anything to the table. I'm so sorry.
You
I
didn't
put
bring
whole
any
panel.
memes?
I put this. I
Yeah,
put
you
this
brought
in
the whole
here.
panel.
Yeah.
You bring the panel, we'll bring the memes.
Wait. Yeah. Well, do we have any more?
Anyways,
I'm hungry. I want more. That's fine. No, that's fine. Does anyone want to add on to your sexual identity and any and explain your thoughts and feelings on your identity, and how you feel with that label? Essentially,
I don't like my label. But I feel like I kind of say like I'm trans but straight yet queer, or like I'm straight but queer.
Mhm.
Like I don't know, something about the whole thing. Like I miss my little gay label for some reason. Something about it. Maybe the men were really hot or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
But like straight guys are hot too. So like I don't know. I'm like something is pulling me back to that old label, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I would definitely just say like there's a huge thing. Once again, going back to like everyone thinks asexuality is just this one thing, but it's a whole spectrum. There's so much to being asexual that
Mhm.
just because I may use the label asexual because I feel it is the easiest for what I identify as, it doesn't mean that I haven't had sex. It doesn't mean that I won't have sex. It doesn't mean that I'm not sexually active. I just happen to be not sexually active because COVID. But
Mhm.
I feel like when you say ace to someone, there's always a whole like, oh, okay, you're just gonna like sit in the corner and do your own thing, like with no one else. And I'm like, no, I still want companionship. I still want all of these things. I'm asexual, not aromantic. And I wish there was a bit more of a divide, or a bit more of a knowledge of the divide between asexuality and aromantic attraction.
Yeah, I think that's just something as people, not even in like queer spaces, but everyone need to understand is that there are separate attractions that we all have. There's a romantic attraction, sexual attraction, and they are two different things. And yeah, I think that will help all of us really. Bats harming.
I do see it. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
I just see questions coming in.
Okay, marvelous.
Oh, perfect.
And I see them coming in to our channel, our Discord as well. But Bats, do you have anything off of that?
Yeah, I don't think so. Not right now. I'm just getting confident and not using labels and things like that.
Okay. Yeah. Harming.
Oh, I mean, labels are labels. Like I said earlier, they're for other people. I'm not exactly like, I don't feel like they fully describe myself, but they allow me to at least get to a jumping off point to where people kind of understand where I'm coming from to begin with. So
Yeah,
Labels
they're
can be like read any way you want to. Like, I mean, like a box of mac and cheese says serves 4. No, it serves 1. to me, it serves
Literally.
1.
It's
So
definitely
like,
for me.
Shakespeare said it. A rose by any other name. What is in a name? A rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Like, exactly. You could call a rose a pile, like an absolute turd, but it would still be a rose.
Hmm.
You know, it
or
would still be
whatever the rose
beautiful.
wanted to be.
It would, yeah, but it would still be beautiful. It would still be what it is,
Yeah.
mhm.
and that is, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for answering that random question that I had to think of quickly while we had to collect some questions. Thank you so much, everyone that has been redeeming questions. I really appreciate it. Apple Epi. I'm sorry if I mispronounced.
Apple's
or
pie.
Apple pie. Yes. Okay. Question. I'm ace and non-binary, but I'm not super good at explaining things. What do y'all suggest is a good way to explain in a way that non-queer people can understand?
Non-queer people, that's a hard sell.
I'm a human
Yeah.
person. You should respect me just like any other human person.
Yeah.
Kind of that. I would literally say just like, I don't identify as male or female, and I don't feel sexual attraction. And if they're like, oh, but you'd be like, nope, should, that's it. That's all that I'm explaining, because if they're taking your time to try and educate them, they owe you money. They owe you money, bitch. They owe you money.
If you gotta educate them, they gotta pay you.
Anytime, listen, I know that there's like anyone watching this, if any of us have had to educate you, and you owe us money. Pay up. Our PayPals, our Cash Apps, our Venmos are going to be in the chat, okay? Pay
Oh my
up.
god.
Are they?
Or buy a t-shirt.
I'm gonna start putting them in now.
Can we get that exclamation point? Donate to Amphar.
Yes,
Exclamation
donate
point
to
merch. You could buy merch and donate to Amphar.
Mhm.
A lot of non queer people have a lot of questions about who you are, but then they don't really like your answers.
Yeah.
It seems
They don't like to listen.
they want answers that they understand already. It can be difficult. Sometimes you just have to break it down as simple as possible, and if they don't get it, you just have to be like, oh well, like they'll get to it eventually, maybe, if they're interested or care. The information's out there, and if they don't seek it out, then
Yeah.
they don't care.
Bats, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think I agree with what everybody said. The information's out there, and if you're willing to learn, you'll learn. If I have the mental space to deal with educating someone and they want to learn, I'll educate them, but
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's hard to grasp if you're not feeling ace, then it's never going to resonate with you. Like, if you're not going to get it. And maybe it's
Yeah.
not for you to get, but you just need to respect it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Mhm.
Divas, you gotta drink. We're giving you the water.
Yeah.
Soak it in.
You have to want to drink.
Yeah.
I think.
Thirsty bitch.
Does anyone ever come up to you and ask for your sexual identity? And if is that a normal thing that you feel should happen?
No.
I mean, I don't see why it's relevant most of the time, but people
Yeah.
want to know.
See, this is a weird thing because like I regularly go through this like thought process of like, you know the way sometimes if you're on public transport, this is like pre-COVID times when people weren't wearing masks and you could see their full faces. But like pre-COVID, you'd like look at someone and be like, oh, they're really attractive. I wish I knew how they identified, because if they identified in the like with an identity that was attracted to me, I would go and give them my number type thing, which I feel like is something that a lot of queer people struggle with. So there are times where I wish I could go up to someone and be like, hey, are you, are you a bit fruity? Are you a bit spicy?
Well, yeah.
And like, but I feel like there are times as well when it's just not appropriate. Like, if you're in a queer, this is a PSA. This is a PSA for the cis-het dudes that keep coming into queer spaces to pick up girls. Don't go into queer spaces. Go to the first girl you see and go, hey, are you bi? Because 99% of the time, she's not going to want to sleep with you. Sit down, shut up, and know your place.
Well, they already don't
just have
want
to
to
say
sleep
that.
with you even outside the bar queer spaces anyways. So
Well, I feel like, I don't know, just like talk to people. Like, just
Mhm.
be platonic from the start. And if they're interested in you back, they might express that because you opened the conversation. And if they want to close it with you, they'll close it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, but I mean, there are obviously people who don't know how to flirt or whatever, and that's totally understandable. But like, eventually, that just comes from being communicative, but also open and understanding, rather than like aggressively sexual from the start.
yeah.
I don't know. I when I was younger and single, I used to like write my number in a little note, but it would be like friendly or whatever to like, I don't know, a guy on the bus, and like as an adult, not in high school. And this is one specific story, and like I felt really bad about it because he was sleeping, but like I thought he was really good looking, and I was like, if I don't shoot my shot, I don't get my shot. So like, what do I do? And so I just like left the note on his little bag and then left the bus. And I was like, this is really fucking weird. But I don't know. And you can totally call me out if that is weird. But like, I don't know. It was just like, I just think you're like attractive or whatever, and here's my number, and if you're interested, let me know. You know. And like, I feel like it is dangerous though for queer people in general, just because like a lot of cis straight people can get very aggressive. They get very defensive. And it's like, why don't you just take the compliment, be flattered, and move on? Like, because like, I don't know, if a woman comes to me and says, oh, I'm really attracted to you or whatever, like, would you like to go for coffee sometime? I'd be like, wow, I'm really flattered, thank you, but I'm not interested in women. You know, like it's. I'm not offended. I'm not upset. Why would I be upset that someone thinks I'm hot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It's literally, it's like if a straight person can reject someone kindly that's of the gender that they're attracted to, why can't they do the same to a queer person? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if a woman came up to me and was like, oh, you're really cute, and I'd be like, oh, I really appreciate it, I'm sorry, I'm just like, I'm very queer. Like, that's it. It's not, I'm not offended by the fact that I'm not offended. It goes back to that whole thing that my therapist told me. We're not responsible for another person's erection.
yes.
Mm.
Even if you're naked, you're not responsible for that.
I don't
Yeah.
know where you'd be naked with a lot of people, Chidora, but that's your prerogative, not mine.
Maybe I
A
go to
spa.
art studios and they paint me like one of their French girls.
Oh my god, I'd pay for that.
You do.
Well, I mean,
You
it's a
have
class.
to.
You have to pay for
Yeah,
it.
you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, normalizing the conversation I do like if you're in a situation where it's not relevant, I don't like people. The thing is, people will like to bring it up when it's not relevant, and I don't really care about that. Like, I don't want to talk about this all day for no reason. But it's like, I do want to normalize being able to ask if you are interested, though, because it's like the reason people are scared to is mostly queer people afraid to ask other people because they're afraid of violence, because it's a very real possibility that the outcome could be violence just for expressing interest in wanting to know how somebody identifies.
I mean, just like
But this is
Oxfam
mostly-
said, like, the gay panic defense is still legal in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The main reason I say, like, you know, I don't, I don't want people to ask me about it if it's not relevant. Is usually the cishet people that just insist on questioning you on your, like, drilling you on your sexuality, and it's very tiring. Because if I have to answer one more time to a cishet person saying, "Oh, like, what are you? How do you know? Are you sure?" All those kinds of things. It just feels very accusatory and very annoying and exhausting.
We're not up for trial. Like, we're not up for trial for being who we are, if that makes sense. And we don't like. I have gotten to that point where people have started asking me, like, "Are you sure? Are you?" I just like, I'll just turn around and walk away, and they're like, "That was so rude." And I'm like, "You were being rude. I'm just doing to you what you are to me."
Yeah.
You know.
I'm choosing not to interact in this discourse. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Bats, do you have any thoughts on that? On my random question that I did bring up randomly? It seems mostly like platonic conversation first, and then if it goes from there. But do you
I
agree?
agree.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll find out if somebody is interested in you by just starting conversation or pursuing with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't need to know the reason why they're turning you down, but if they feel comfortable sharing with you, oh, it's because my sexuality, then that's cool. But if they turn you down, then they turn you down and move on.
Well, and like we said, like, if you ghost immediately after, it's gross. Like,
Yeah.
we know you were only there for that one thing you wanted, and you weren't really interested in us as people. Or like, because like, I just don't understand why people can't just be friends. Like, it's good to have friends, y'all. It's good to have them. It's nice to have some people you can play games with or relate to or talk to,
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I think for sure, platonic conversation, if it comes up, great. And then we can go from there. And if not, like, we'll move on. We'll move past it. We do have about 3 minutes left of our panel. I'm going to go ahead and do the outro for everyone. But before that, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Happy day 4. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Batsy Boy to give their outro.
So I'm Bats Boy, just the ace non-binary streamer, wholesome troll, haunted doll, love food, Flavor Town. And I'll see y'all here on Twitch, Bats Boy, on all my other socials as well. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Chalora. Sorry, I'm looking. Yes, Chalora. You're next in line.
Hi, I'm Chalora. I'm a trans, unfortunately straight, but still queer, drag artist from Canada. And you can find me on my channel playing a huge variety of games. I'm currently doing a playthrough of Resident Evil, all like from 1 to 8 or whatever, maybe 9 when it comes out, because it'll probably be that time by the time I get there. But or on Instagram at Chalora Flora.
Thank you so much, Shalora. Nikki. Sorry, I gotta look at my thing again.
So, friends, my name is Nikki Stones, and I'm Dublin's drag K-pop idol. I stream on Twitch every single Tuesday and Sunday at 7 p.m. GMT, so that is 2 p.m. Eastern and 11 a.m. Pacific. You can catch me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, all at Nikki_Stones. And yeah. I'm going to treat you to a bit of Irish. Slongafoma Kharja. Love you all. Thank you, Kiyoshi, for having me.
Thank you, Nikki. Harming.
So I'm Prince Harming. You can find me here on Twitch, Prince_Harming. I'm a drag king streamer here on Twitch. I'm not in makeup today, but I usually am 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And I play a lot of horror games, a lot of DBD, all that kind of fun stuff. Though I am going to be in a Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker hole for about a few months.
Yay. Well, get into it. Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. That again, y'all, all my panelists are here. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone that is watching, chatting, engaging. My name is Kiyoshi Yorha, pansexual drag investigator here on Twitch. Also pansexual, demisexual, we'll figure it out. And you can find me on all social medias at Kiyoshi Yorha. Thank you so much. Don't forget to buy the merch, raising more money for Amphar. We have t-shirts and stickers. Please go do that. And stick around for AAPI. Bye.